good evening, everybody. Welcome back to the Six Rings King Show on a new night, Monday night now, baby. We're really excited, actually, to have Eric McLean on the show here, college football analyst, co-host of The Huddle. Coach, yes! All right!
First touchdown of the year.
Miami Hurricanes, yeah. You know the name already. It's Mercy. Ha ha. It's a six-ring Kane show. Can't forget the name though. Got Jazz, Blue, Vish, and DJ break the game code. Ain't no changing them, ain't no breaking them. We reporting live from the Hard Rock Stadium. Ball 14 for the orange and green. We see the six-ring champs. It's more than a dream. This is life on the field. Beyond 100 yards, a hurricane that's never still put a damage to your squad.
What's wrong with us? Seriously.
What's wrong with us? We're Miami Hurricanes fans.
Welcome to the Six Rings Kane Show, a show dedicated to Miami Hurricane sports, featuring the legendary Larry Bluestein, Jazz Santana, Vish, and Danny Gillette. Let's go Canes.
Yeah, you caught me looking up. Yeah, what up?
Maxwell let you live it down, man.
What up, Trill? What's going on, everybody? This is the Six Rings King Show baseball edition, Canes baseball edition, baby. If you guys are wanted to talk football, you're gonna have to wait 24 more hours. We got a big show tomorrow, though, as obviously we break down the spring game. We talk about some really cool things in the recruiting trail, as well as some big time commits. Committed after the game, including one today. Nice cornerback today, a wide receiver, a big blue chip wide receiver yesterday. So or maybe even Friday night, I don't remember. But anyways, football talk is tomorrow, so make sure you guys check that out. It'll be at 8:30 p.m. right here, same channel.
So running across the bottom.
Yep, there it is, baby. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel and follow us on Twitter at Six Rings Canes. Talk a little bit about baseball. Obviously, we've got, this is a really big weekend for Canes baseball as they ended up winning the series, as we had spoken about this last week. It was really important for them to win the series against North Carolina. So we'll dive into that a little bit, and then we will give you guys a little bit of a season recap also, because some things have changed, and I think that it's because Gino and the whole staff was listening to our show last week. That's why.
Yeah, no, I mean, we were clairvoyant. We told him what to do. He listened. Although Poor went out for Ariel Garcia, we pinch it with half the roster in that damn last game, and he didn't get in there. Oh man! But yeah, no, definitely there were some adjustments he made that we had called for that really seemed to liven the offense up a bit.
Absolutely. But before we get to all of that, let's give a shout out to our sponsor, Prize Picks. It's real simple, guys. I mean, Prize Picks is probably some of the easiest ways you can root on some of your favorite athletes. So it's real simple, right? First of all, go to prizepicks.com. When you log in and you sign up, use the code 5 FIVE, and they will match your deposit up to $100. So make sure you check that out. And I don't know, my TV just went off. Okay, make sure you check that out. It's real simple. You pick anywhere between 2 to 5 players, choose the over/under on their individual categories, and watch yourself win some. With some money. What's great is that you can kind of mix and match team players from different sports, different teams, even Formula One. You can do Formula One as well on PrizePicks.com. So make sure you choose anywhere between 2 to 5 players. Choose the over/under on their individual stats and win some money. PrizePicks.com. Log in. Code word FIVE 5. That's the word 5, and they will match your initial deposit up to $100.
Yep, and it's scrolling across the bottom. FIVE. I should point out, Jazz chose the time of the show and is now just watching the Heat game, but we'll persevere.
I know it's crazy, but I was like, you know what? If I don't get it in now, I got to cook dinner later. I was like, let's just roll with it.
All right, well, let's roll like the Canes did this weekend.
Absolutely. Hey, big series win for Canes baseball as they took on the number 13th ranked North Carolina Tar Heels. Tough one. Every single game came down to 1 run, which, I mean, those are the toughest games to win. I mean, you're talking about 3 straight games that came down to the last inning, up by 1 run or down by 1 run. Obviously, the heartbreaker on Saturday afternoon. But listen, this was a hard-fought series against a talented North Carolina team, but it just goes to show you that Miami even missing out on Carson Ligon throwing. Made a couple changes in the lineup, and it seemed to work for Miami. And I think that Gino, we talk a lot of crap about Gino sometimes in his coaching moves that he makes, but I think that this is one of the best coached series that I've seen Gino, performing in quite some time.
I think I'm going to mix the days up. So game 1 was on Thursday, Chris, for some reason. Do you know why it was Thursday or Saturday?
I don't know. They do this sometimes.
I know last week it was supposed to be, and they moved it because of weather, but that was because Easter
Right.
was on Sunday, so they didn't want to play on Easter.
Might have been
But
some for travel stuff.
it was a weird. I'm going to keep saying the Friday night game, even though it was on Thursday. But yeah, I thought the first game was probably the best game he's managed, maybe since he's been the head man. Definitely this year, where he pushed all the right buttons. The Canes were down, made a comeback. You mentioned he shuffled the starting lineup and listen to us, so that's always a positive. But I thought, his handling of the pitchers, he didn't mess around, just went to Torres and then to Walters from there, who are definitely our 2 best bullpen arms. And like you said, it was a 1-run game, so you needed all that. And then I'll give it back to you to talk about the game-winning inning, where I thought he managed it perfectly. I mean, the suicide squeeze is getting a lot of the headlines, as it should. It was a great call in that spot. But also, he did a bunch of pinch hitting in front of that to even get into the. So I don't know if you want to talk through some of that too.
Yeah, I mean, just a little bit. I think that the guys that he brought in to pinch hit, I believe it was Eddie Villegas, right?
Yeah.
Was one of the guys that he brought in.
And then Renzo.
And then Renzo, which are 2 decent left-handed hitting bats. I know Villegas has struggled a little bit, but it seems like when Renzo comes in, he actually gives that offensive spark. He's one of those, crafty left-handed hitters that can hit the ball out of the park, but he's kind of that guy that can gap to gap, get you a base hit somewhere, hustles a lot. So, and the matchup was there for him, which was really interesting to see how he chose the right guys to match up, against the pitching from North Carolina. And as far as pitch sequence, it's all a bit of a blur as to how they got on for me. But I think what was brilliant was,
I think Villegas walked,
right,
and then Renzo had like a bloop single where he got jammed,
left field,
but
right?
He fought it off.
That's right.
Yeah, and then Kafis advanced them with a ground out, and then that's when the play happened.
And then they brought in Dario.
Dario was it. That was his spot. He started that game.
They brought him in to hit a home run though, and I just not only was it a great call to lay down the squeeze there, but it's just executed perfectly, right? It was exactly where the bunt needed to be, and that's that North Carolina was playing in on that too. If you notice, their middle infielders were playing not totally in, but they were positioned a little bit in, and then you had their corner guys that were moved in, and he still laid down a perfect bunt because the third baseman didn't know what to do, if he should stay back, if he should go forward. So you had the pitcher kind of get off and try to make a play, and by that point it was too late. With Dario's speed. I think it was just late. Oh, and then they pinch run with
Jacoby Long was on third.
Long.
Yeah, so
right,
we had a good base runner there too. And there's other things going on there that I think were really intelligent. One is it's second and third with 1 out. Like the risk with the suicide squeeze is if it's a crappy pitch, you're effed.
Right.
You're basically caught stealing at home. Like the ball's there, you're out.
Yep.
But then, behind the play, Renzo was moving up. So you'd still have a runner on third and a chance to knock him in.
Right.
Even if obviously that's not ideal then because you're giving up an out, but at least the inning's not dead. If there's no one else on base, that's a tougher call to make.
Right.
Because any kind of bad pitch or pitch in the dirt or something is actually, you need a strike there or you need something buntable. Because the guy's going off at third. Like if it's something that you can't make contact with, it's basically an easy out.
I mean, that was the first bunt I've seen Miami lay down in 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, that was the overreaction to the Jim Morris era. It was just we're never bunting again.
Well, you think about it this way, right? And they lead the ACC in home runs. They're known for let's get a couple guys on, or let's hit a couple solo shots, and we'll be able to climb ourselves out of a hole there by hitting the ball 500 feet. No, I mean this was the complete opposite. First of all, you had all the guys. Yeah, everybody in this lineup has hit a home run and has some pop, but you had all the guys that could get on, that had speed. get on, right? Like it all happened the way that I don't want to say the way that it should have, because I mean the way that it should have, but it's it all happened the way that you'd expect it to happen with the guys that you had up to bat, basically, right? You had the guys that got on, were able to advance, and you had CJ Kafis, who's not going to strike out really too much, put the ball in play. He's one of your best hitters, and accidentally, really, right, move the guys over, because I don't think he was necessarily doing that. He was trying to get a base hit, trying to find a hole somewhere, but he did his job.
I
He
think
got
he
the
was
guys
definitely
over.
looking to pull it though, to make sure
Absolutely,
that you can't
absolutely.
get the guy at third.
And he's the right guy to do that, right? Because he's
Yeah.
probably the best hitter as far as like control,
handling the bat.
handling the bat. I think that you also saw that in that at bat. He also hit a line drive to left field that just went foul,
Yeah.
and I went crazy. But then he came back and kind of rolled over one a little bit. But still, no matter what, he was able to advance the guys. And then you had a guy like Dario Gomez, who's probably the perfect guy to lay down that squeeze with. So I just think everything worked out perfectly. So am I playing the result a little bit? Absolutely, right? Because like you mentioned, Vish, if he doesn't get that bunt down, if Dario strikes,
but it's a good spot to do it in, because again, you still had the runner moving up from second to third there, where you would still have a runner on third. It will be with 2 outs, but you still have a runner on third you could potentially knock in. So it did give him, there was less than 2 outs, and there's a runner on at second and third. And the other thing that comes into play here is with Yo-Yo on deck, he's going to want to go after Dario. So you're probably going to get a good pitch to bunt.
Yep.
Because you definitely don't want to walk the bases loaded for Yo-Yo. So like you said, it kind of all aligned to the right spot to make that call.
It was unbelievable. It was unbelievable. I don't know if we want to talk about that second game, because the second game.
Well, I think we need to talk. Look, if we're going to give Gino credit, and I agree, I was screaming for bunts quite a few times this weekend and did not get my wish several times. But I will say, if we're going to talk about how Gino managed the first game well, I think he kind of messed up the second one, because it was a 6-0 lead. And look, North Carolina's good. They're, like you said, they're ranked. They're a top 15 team. You're in their park. They're going to come back at you.
Right. I
thought he pulled the plug on people way too quick. It was the 5th inning, and there were 2 on. We're up 6-3 at the time.
Right.
There were 2 on, 2 outs, and he just walked someone on, frankly, a couple of those pitches looked like he got squeezed on. So it wasn't like he was missing badly. And he pulled him out to go lefty-lefty to Cinta, who got the out. And it's like, great. All right. We have no bullpen, though. Yeah. And because we'd already used, we mentioned Torres and Walters for 4 innings the night before. So they didn't have much left. And I think that, the next inning is when we blew the lead. It was actually Torres that had to come in with like a noodle arm and try to get some outs, because we don't have anyone else that he trusts. And he got hit. But that was after I think the bases were loaded, and Chestnut had come in and struggled a little bit. And I felt like at that point, you still have a 3-run lead. There's 2 outs. Try to get through that inning and just try. You got to get, because Rosario's gone 8 innings before this year. He's eaten innings. You have a lead to play with. He was throwing 98. He hit 98, that man.
Torres?
No, Rosario.
Oh, I was like, what?
No. Torres cannot hit.
I just saw Justin type something about Torres.
No. Rosario was hitting. He was still throwing 96, 97, 98. I think if we hadn't taken him out of that game, we probably win it, because we just didn't have the bullpen to hang in there. And then he ended up overusing Torres in that game and overusing Walters, which ended up, right at the end, costing us with the one pitch. But I guess if you look at it, like there's 3-run, 1-run games, it's going to be 2-1 to one team. You're not going to like win all 3 1-run games. So, right. It's balancing out, because UNC, I believe, was up 4-1 in the opener. So they probably looked at that like, man, we blew that game. So it balances out. But I feel like he's just got the way, and we're going to talk a little bit more of this in the back half of the show about like kind of the state of the roster and the pitching in particular, like knowing you'd used your 2 best pitchers for 4 innings the night before, and knowing the rest of you don't really trust the rest of the yards in there. Right. I would have trusted Rosario, or at least tried to just eat more innings.
Well, it looks like someone's coming around a little bit, Mr. Ronaldo Gallo.
Yeah, talk about, like, I will say the whole team, but him in particular. That was big. One strike away from winning the game, and they homer off Walters. You then lose on a walk-off home run. And then to come back and win that next game, man, talk about mental strength. And
that's tough.
And that's someone asked me after the Virginia series, do you think this team has more upside than last year? And I said, I think last year's team was better, but this year's team is tougher. And this is the type of stuff I meant. Last year's team kind of just coasted through. They were really good. They won a lot of games. Obviously, we're national seed, I think 5th overall in the country. Like, they were an elite team in the regular season, but they didn't really get a lot of tests. And the first time that happened was in the postseason.
This schedule's been brutal.
This schedule's been brutal. This team is tough. And, to come back and win that game, and Guyota started. Man.
He went 3, right? He went 3 innings?
I think he went 2, and then Chestnut struggled in the second game, came in, ate a bunch of innings for us in the last game. Like, these guys they're all tough. Like, I don't know if they're as talented as last year. We definitely do not have the pitching depth that we did last year.
I think Cinta ate up a couple.
Yeah, Cinta was awesome too. Rafe came in and got that double play when the bases were loaded with one out.
Huge. That was
huge. And then Torres came in and closed the damn game. Torres in the last 5 games has gone. The second game against Virginia, he came on to middle relief. He started the third game against Virginia.
Yep.
Middle relief in game 1 against North Carolina. Middle relief in game 2. Closed game 3. That's his last 5 games. Unbelievable.
It's funny. Kyle Smith, Kyle says our completely depleted bullpen only gave up 3 runs.
Yeah, no,
in game 3. That was it is unreal.
Yeah, with Walters unavailable.
Hell of a job.
With Walters unavailable. Yeah.
Hell of a job by the bullpen.
Absolutely, Justin Torres is just unbelievable. That kid always just is such a warrior out there.
We might get into this a little bit now, but maybe the bullpen's starting to come around a little bit. They're starting to, look, they're getting put in positions that are tough. These are really tough positions to be put in, right? In 1-run games here and there, trying to hold a lead against top teams. And for the most part, yeah, you've seen them kind of struggle in certain games, and you've seen some of the guys, like some of the young kids, like Ben Chestnut, Cinta, even Lecarica, I know who's not throwing much right now. But
he did come in game 2 and eat a couple of innings for us.
So
after we went,
by the way, if you all haven't noticed, I missed game 2 completely.
Okay, so Rosario went 4 2/3,
right,
and got pulled with 2 on and 2 outs. Cinta came and just got the 1 out.
Okay.
And then we pulled him immediately and went to Chestnut.
Gotcha.
Who struggled, and then Torres came in and struggled, and we essentially lost the lead. They gave up the crooked number, and it was 7-6. But then Lecarica actually came in there and pitched, I want to say 2 or 3 innings of shutout ball.
Gotcha.
So because he had been, we were using him a lot at the beginning of the year, and then he just started giving up homers. I mean, like every time he pitched, it would just be like
after he started that game.
Yeah, he kind of never recovered for that.
But on the flip side, now you got Ronaldo Gallo, who all of a sudden looks like a serviceable guy out of the
pen. Yeah, he was good. He had 1 inning against UVA. He looked good. Obviously, he gave up the winning. I mean, he gave up the winning homer against. But I mean, again, these are good teams. You're on the road. They're going to make some hits. I think the better thing is that was really the only ball that was really crushed off of him, because he gave up a run in 2 innings in the third game too when he started. But a lot more of the balls were on the ground. He was keeping it, because earlier in the year it was just launch pad. Like everything he threw was hit hard. Even if he got guys out, it was right on the nose. It was like just happened to go to one of our fielders. So I thought and against Virginia, I was obviously there. I thought he looked a lot better there too. They didn't score on him. He did an inning without allowing a run. So he's definitely pitching better than he was earlier in the year. And he was good last year too. So there's a better pitcher in there. This is one that we were kind of relying on to be one of our key arms that just fell off a cliff.
Now, obviously if he kind of starts putting it together a little bit more, Lecarica kind of comes back a little bit stronger. Obviously, you've got Torres and Walters.
This is probably a good transition to our second conversation. Let's just go for it and talk about our pitching staff. All right, so
now you're talking about the potential of this bullpen / pitching staff not to be so much of a weakness anymore, right?
Yeah, and hold on, let me go ahead and we can do some visual aids here. Here is this is our pitching staff. There we go. Look at that. Statistics and everything. I think first of all, number one, got to get Ligon. Whatever's going on there, tendonitis, whatever they said it was, been a lot of not clear stuff coming out of the baseball program. But whatever is coming out does tend to say he's coming back.
Right.
So, he is like that. That's the other thing Kyle mentioned, our depleted bullpen. This was down one of our starters that's supposed to eat innings. So we basically, had the whole weekend we were chasing a little bit because it's an extra, 6-7 innings you have to get out of someone.
Right.
So yeah, looking at this,
I mean, the numbers.
The numbers aren't good.
The numbers aren't good for anybody. I mean, they look scary, man. Like nobody's ERA is under.
Well, I mean, we got Walters and Torres, who we both know are the two best pitchers on the team. Let's be real. So, the thing with Torres is like he's so good in clutch late game situations.
Right. I
know there's probably a temptation, to start him. I think the goal is to get 5 or 6 out of your starter and go to Torres then Walters, and that is that's kind of got to be our move.
I don't know, man. These ERAs. I mean, look. First of all, the ERAs are a little bit deceptive, yes, but at the same time, I mean, look, you got a guy like Ronaldo Gallo who started off. He probably had like a 20 ERA. He's been
his is coming down. His is coming down.
His is coming down. Rafe Schlesinger.
Yeah, I don't know what the color. Maybe someone smarter than we can tell me why there's 4 pitchers in gray here. I know Brian Walters, who's, for those that don't know, Andrew's brother, is out for the year with an injury.
Right, but he had one solid outing, and then the second outing that he had was bad. So, and again, it's a freshman. Sebastian Perez, I haven't even seen him throw one.
He did come in. Oh God, when did he come in? He came in the first game against Virginia when we were down like bad. Just to eat the game was over.
I haven't seen him pitch. I haven't seen Alex Walsh pitch.
I remember him coming in once on a midweek, but these are not. I think let's just walking through this, right? So your starters are supposed to be it's Ligon, Zeal, Rosario, and then your arms out of the bullpen that you're going to trust are definitely Torres and Walters. After that, the next
Lacarica and Cinta and maybe
Lacarica was definitely out of favor until this week. Maybe he got himself back in. I really think it's Cinta is definitely the guy they trust the most, but they tend to use him as like a lefty specialist. Maybe after the way he pitched this weekend, he'll get more. Well, that was the other thing when Gino pulled Pipo out, like just should have left Cinta in for more innings. Although at that point we don't know what he was thinking. Maybe he was going to try and like start him in the next game, and then it ended up rain. We didn't even mention that it rained out and they had to finish the game the next day, and it kind of threw everything off too.
Right.
So maybe that's why he was protecting a little bit. Brandall does not really play. So so we're looking at Chestnut. And just in terms of players that'll even pitch, it's Gallo, Lacarica, Chestnut, Cinta, and Rafe as a lefty specialist.
Right.
That is a shallow bullpen. I mean, it's really putting a lot on Torres and Walters, which we saw. Like he went back to both of them after they pitched a ton of innings in game 1 and put them both back in game 2.
You know what I think you noticed though also is that down the stretch, bullpen starts to get tighter, and for everybody, for all teams, because you kind of start to narrow in on who the guys that you can trust the most are. I think that the opposite is happening for us right now, where some of the guys that we didn't trust before or that weren't performing before are now performing. Plus, you're going to get a guy like Cinta who all of a sudden now say, hey, we don't need to just throw him against lefties. It looks like he can do a little bit more. He can eat up a couple innings. You got a guy like obviously Torres who can start, but he can also, he can.
I think we need him out of the bullpen. I think he can definitely start, but his best. He's so good. Like when we're in jams, we can get him in there. He gets us out of them. You want to strategically deploy Torres. You don't want to accidentally start him in the game where we put up 10 runs and are blowing someone out. You're like, we wasted our Torres here.
Yeah, of course.
So you kind of want to strategically because he's so good in clutch situations.
Right.
I
think it's interesting what's happening with our bullpen. It's kind of opening up.
Okay, well, here, let me throw another nugget in there. So we have 2 midweek games this week.
By the way, Miami's going to take game 1 from the Bucks, baby. Let's go.
Come on, man. We got enough shows with the name Floor in it on this network without you turning this into before the floor, on the floor, off the floor, in the floor, over the floor.
No more floors.
Let's talk about ceiling here on this team.
Yes.
So we have 2 midweek games this week. How are we even going to navigate that? That's 5 games this week.
When do they start? Is it Wednesday, Thursday?
Tuesday, Wednesday, and then the series against Georgia Tech is Friday to Sunday.
Well, my thing is the Tuesday game, I think you got to go with someone that maybe you didn't use a lot of this weekend. right?
Honestly.
You can't go with Torres because Torres threw
No.
much.
Torres should not.
Yeah.
This is my thinking. F the midweek games. I don't think Torres or Walters should be in any of those games. I don't care what the situation
I
is.
think maybe you give Licorica a shot again, right, to start a game.
I'm looking at
Or
the bottom of
Gaio,
the. I
or even
honestly,
Gaio.
at this point, I'd be like, go ahead and start like Alex Walsh or something. Just who cares? It's Bethune Cookman. Like, just if we lose, we
It's
lose.
Bethune Cookman on Tuesday, so
Yeah. But I think both these
yeah.
games, like, I'm not touching my core because we have a handful of pitchers we trust, right?
Right.
I'm not touching any of them for these midweek games at this point. We don't have enough depth to warrant it.
Yeah, but I think you have to give Licorica a shot.
Oh, I'm good with that because I
continue to gain
don't
some
consider
confidence.
him one of our core. He's more inconsistently used, so I'm fine with us. Maybe Bethune's the right spot for him
Yeah.
because that way, if he pitches well, he's got more rest. You can use him on the weekend
A
too.
little more confidence too.
Yeah, and you can use him on the weekend then. But I guess I forget who the second.
I think that the Bethune Cookman game is going to be like Licorica and Walsh and Perez and maybe throw in Cinta just to get some
Yeah. So here's the
work.
Let's see what we got here,
Where
and
is
then
it?
add
FAU.
that's.
So that's the one that you might have to start Torres in. Right?
Oh no! I see. This is the thing. I'd rather lose that game and keep Torres fresh for the weekend.
Even if you get Ligon back, you still need Torres fresh.
Yeah, that's the thing. We don't have any pitching. Like ideally, you have Ligon, Zeal, Rosario, and then Torres and Walters available out of the bullpen as kind of like these are the guys that are going to do the heavy lifting. And then you can go to Cinto when you need to. You can go Chestnut when you need to. You can go to Gaio potentially when you need to. I mean, that's kind of that's our best case, which means that midweek games or if we go into a losers bracket in a regional is going to be really tough because we just don't have the arms.
Yeah, well, that's why these next two games are important to get some of these guys, a little bit of work, and then not only that, but man, the bullpen needs to expand a little bit. You need to see what these guys have because, look, at the end of the day, man, baseball is. A lot of the time, especially in these single elimination, not these series type games or matches, matchups, you're going to see that the hottest team wins. And if your team can get hot, if your pitching can get hot, even though they sucked most of the season or they struggled or whatever the case is, you get hot. Chances are you're gonna win a game or two. So a big game or two because you're hot, and that's all you can ask for. So get these guys some confidence. Keep doing you got to score 15 runs against Bethune Cookman.
Right, and I mean that's the thing when I'm thinking, but also good. Another expert transition for me. Let's talk a little about the lineup because I'm a little the numbers are. This is like the opposite. The numbers here are pretty gaudy, especially you mentioned we have the most home runs in the ACC, but man, you go into some of these games, you're like, all right, we got and Kyle called it out. Yeah, good point. We might start Rafe. Rafe is an option to start for sure. Just to again, I think it'll be probably a couple of whole staff games though overall. But like Kyle called it out earlier. Great job by the bullpen. Told me allowed 3 runs. Why can't our team go in there with this heavy hitting lineup and put up like 10 on UNC's Sunday starter? Just put the game away.
Scroll down a little bit. Go down to like the final, like the stats, like the overall stats. Here we go. So the overall stats are. Does it say there how many runs per game we score?
I don't know. I gotta scroll up to see the legend, and then we can scroll to. Doesn't look like it.
No. Okay. Well, I think we probably need to find that out because I'm not saying that it's anywhere near 10, but it's got to be in the 6 or 7.
Right, but I feel like against better, and this is the case with every team, right? Against better competition, I don't know that we're doing that. But some of the you'd like to win some of these, and then we do at home. I think where we've struggled is on the road.
Yeah,
because at home there are definitely
we're also playing Wake Forest and Virginia on the road,
and Florida. And North Carolina is also ranked. Like our road schedule's been insane. Our strength of schedule was top 5 going into last week, and it probably went up.
Yeah.
After those games at North Carolina, and then our RPI is actually national seed level. It's just we lost those series.
Can I tell you what surprises me the most out of this? Because I've been talking so much crap about it. Is surprisingly, Ian Farrell is not doing terrible.
Okay, well,
I guess it's numbers don't lie, yada yada yada. But it's deceptive because you look at his stats, and he's not doing terrible. He's not doing great in where he should be, which is driving in runs. I think that's the most important part. He's only got 16 RBIs, but he's hitting 310. And his slugging is at 690, which is not so bad. His OPS is over 1.093, which is not bad either. So he doesn't. I mean, from the numbers perspective, doesn't look that bad. Doesn't look terrible.
So he did get benched on Sunday mid-game.
Well, it's happened to him a couple times, right?
Well, no, because he didn't effort on a play, and we yanked him out of the game.
Gotcha.
So I think there's more going. I think part of your perception, like you're right, the numbers don't lie, and actually, I'm surprised to see he's third on the team in batting average because I feel like he never gets a hit, but clearly he is, right? He's batting 310, but I think probably it's maybe some of his body language is giving off that vibe.
Sure.
Like I don't remember him hitting 7 home runs, but he did.
Yeah, I don't remember it either.
So like I remember Capus hitting home runs. I feel like if you told me he had more home runs than Dom, I'd be shocked, but he does.
But he does.
Yeah,
but Dom's right there. He's right there, baby.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the season that Dom Patelli has had. I mean, that's I think it's not surprising.
Well, let's go around the horn here a little bit. So we'll start with the person that I was worried about. Who, I mean, this is where I feel like he's doing better. The numbers are showing, but at catcher, I mean, I think that's just Perez's spot, right? I don't think there's any. Yeah. He's only batting 212, but he's shown the power. He's tied for the team lead in home runs, and out of that position, like Scanlon's more of a, I guess, defensive catcher. Although I don't know that he's as good as Perez defensively either. So it's really, I don't think there's any other options there.
I'm just curious as to why JD Jones doesn't get more.
Yeah, he's an interesting
one. The only guy that hasn't hit a home run this year on this team.
Well, him and Renzo too, right?
No,
Renzo's got two.
Renzo's got 2 of them, yeah.
Wait, hold on. We got to go scroll down to Gabby Gutierrez at a homer.
Yep. Gabby's got 2, I think, also, or one. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Your boy doesn't have one either.
Because he doesn't get to play. We're gonna get to that in a second. And they've been messing with my boy Ariel. And Caden Martin literally doesn't get to play.
Yeah, he doesn't.
When did he get in a game? It says 1 game played. I don't even remember him playing.
He got that bad. I think I remember seeing it. I think it was the first weekend. Anyways,
all right. But anyway, so Perez is definitely locked in the catcher. First base definitely Kafis, no doubt there. Second base is. That's an open question at this point.
As far as defensively, but there's no doubt about it. Blake Sear is.
Yeah, Sear is going to be in the lineup. So we've done a couple of things there, right? Blake Sear, the freshman,
leads the team in RBIs.
Yeah, he's getting it done. And he's more a hitter versus defensively struggles. So we've done some. He's probably played mostly at DH this year with Dorian Gonzalez at second.
Right.
The other option at second that we've kind of seen in there a little bit is Ariel Garcia, who did not get off the bench this weekend. That's my guy. I'll keep going to that well. Every time he bats, he makes good contact. I'd like to see more of him. We just never do. But yeah, I think this weekend was the changeover where they're like they don't want to put. I think they want to put Sear in the field and just risk the defense, and I think that's what we saw.
Right.
And then late games like we did in game 2, defensive sub Dorian in. But yeah, I think Sear will probably continue to be at second.
Yep, I think that
shortstop is like you got to talk about Dom, but he's definitely locked that up. He's playing really well in the field too.
I'll tell you what, though, they're going to have to recruit a shortstop next year because they really don't have anybody that can play shortstop on this team right now, do they? Aside from him. I mean, Ariel can play a little bit of shortstop.
Let's say you set me up here. Are you setting me up?
We saw he's not great at shortstop, but he can.
Yeah, but I don't think he's going to be. I mean, for whatever reason, he's not playing, so it's hard to see him all of a sudden being the starting. I'd be surprised if he's here next year based on this playing time. But
sure.
And then Yo-Yo obviously is lots in at third.
Yeah. Yo-Yo's an interesting one, right? Because he's hitting 338, which doesn't look too bad. But his power numbers are down. RBIs are a little bit down, just considering preseason All-American, right? He's one of the top players in the country this year. And you expect Yo-Yo to be, honestly, I expect the Yo-Yo to be playing a little bit better. His 338 batting average is not terrible. It's not bad. It's actually pretty good.
Yeah, at least the team.
But it's not All-American level, right? Though obviously, I don't want to try to compare him to what's his face over at LSU right now, who's hitting like 505 or whatever. But I think that the numbers could be a little bit better. Only 6 home runs, considering his pop, is a little surprising to me.
So I think I think this is all like part of the same picture though. So Farrow, Sear, and Levinson bat behind him. He's just not getting a lot to hit, and he's being patient with it, and that's why he's being patient going the other way with pitches. He's not really trying to overswing.
Right.
And that's why his power numbers are down, but his leads the team batting average, and frankly, he's getting on base, and then behind him, Levinson and Farrow and Sear getting better pitches to hit because there's someone on base. So I think it's playing into that a little bit, but yeah, I agree. I think we need more. Look, this is great. He's 338. It's just nothing. It's the highest on the team, but we also rely on him for the big hits, and it's hard for me to remember him really. He's always on base. He's always threatening. Like the pitchers are worried about him. They're pitching around him, but I can't remember him like coming through in many big spots this year.
Yeah, it's
because part of it is the team's pitching around him, but like you said, if this team's going to go anywhere, he's going to have clutch hits and big plays and big homers, and it can't all just be singles the other way.
Right, he's going to have to get it going and drive in some more runs and get some more and hit some balls out of the park. So, I again, just kind of going back to the outfield. The outfield
is definitely the biggest mess on the team.
It's a mess because now you're starting to see that some of the other guys that didn't play so much before that we've spoken about recently, like the Lorenzo Carrier. Obviously, Jacoby Long not getting at bats right now, but he is kind of coming in for defense and pinch running and all that. So chances are he's going to earn some at bats. Look, in the little that he has played, he's played 25 games. Right?
Maybe not as many at bats. He's an interesting one because we actually pinch hit for him righty on righty.
Right.
And it was I'm gonna go out to my boy Ariel here, but it was like when he bunted with him against Virginia. Like, what are we seeing that Gino isn't? Where he's like, these guys can't hit.
Right.
Because like Jacoby Long was in as a pinch runner, which obviously his two best skills are his running and his defense, but he's batting .417.
Yeah,
is that worth pinch hitting a righty for? Because he wasn't like a righty lefty swap, and it was
he's not terrible with a bat.
That's a weird one, yeah. But I think so. I think the only starting position that's locked in, Levinson will be somewhere in the outfield.
Yeah,
and there are other things are way open. That is, I think you mentioned Carrier. I mean he finally got some regular action this weekend, hit 2 homers. I feel like
by the way, Kyle, we agree. Jacoby Long has
absolutely, and we've been kind of talking about that. But I think it's you got to keep playing. You got to keep playing Carrier at this point, right? He's got to have another one of those spots.
I think Carrier's got to stay in the lineup right now. It's not only about home runs with him. I mean, he's got 8 hits, right? He's only got 2 home runs.
He's batting 421.
Yeah, he's 8 for 19 right now, it looks like. So not bad. I mean, he's only started 2 games.
So what do you think happened? Do you think he just wasn't back from his injury yet, and that's why?
Yeah, I think he was still rehabbing from his injury.
Because to all of a sudden start him, and clearly he's like looks like in midseason form. I mean, it seems like a weird thing. Just like all of a sudden this guy's in the lineup 3 games in a row. Maybe he was still banged up.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
He got injured last year.
And the other problem, the other issue I see with a guy like Jason Torres, I want to kind of throw in Jason Torres there really quick, is just that there's nowhere to put him. There's nowhere to put him because he's a third baseman / first baseman, and you've got those are two.
Yeah, those positions are locked in. I think the only thing you could potentially do is DH him.
Yeah, I mean that's what you can do, but you're also talking about pulling out. Believe it or not, pulling out Aaron Farrell, who's hitting 310, or pulling out. I mean, I can live with pulling out Villegas or Dario. So
this is the thing. So the rest of the other outfield position is probably between Dario, Villegas, potentially Jacoby Long. Maybe Renzo started playing a little bit more. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of 4 guys who could potentially are vying for that one spot. I still expect it to be. I mean, I think this weekend he started Villegas in the last game, and I'm wondering if he's going to start righty leftying that.
Right.
Like if it's a lefty Dario.
I think that
if it's a righty,
I think someone mentioned earlier that Gino does get caught up in the righty lefty thing a little too much, but I think that's his game. That's how he coaches, and I think you're going to continue to see that a little.
But I also think between these two, I mean, frankly, I'd like to give Long a shot, but I don't think he's going to. I think it's going to be Dario or Edgardo, and neither of them have produced to the level where you're like, well, they got to be in there. So I think platooning them makes some sense.
Well, I think the issue also is that Edgardo's is a left-handed bat, and you know, and you're going to lose a left-handed batter. I mean,
well, he did
had a terrible season. It's just not. I mean,
the first two games against UNC, he did start Dario. We did lose the left-handed bat, and then the third game he went back to Edgardo. So I don't know where it's unsettled. So that's so I think in terms of positions where we're still seeing a little churn, it's second base,
right?
Although Sierra's in the lineup in some capacity, is he going to DH or is he going to play the field?
You can't take his bat out of the
No, he's definitely in there. And then there's an out, and the reason I say un-outfield positions, depending on who's in there, he shuffles everyone around. But there is an outfield position between Villegas, Dario Gomez, potentially Jacoby Longo, Renzo if they keep playing well. But I feel like Carrier is kind of locked in.
The good thing is that you have three guys that can play center field without a problem: Villegas, Gomez, and Jacoby Long.
Yep.
Which is a nice problem to have if you still have to fill. Like obviously Levinson is one of your other outfielders.
And it looks like Carrier might be the other one.
Carrier's got to be your right fielder.
Yeah, so I think it's kind of just the one spot at this point.
Yep, it's going to be interesting to see. I mean, obviously Carrier's going to have to continue to play the way he's playing, but I don't see why not. He came in highly touted, right? And he's shown a little bit. He's shown what he can do. He's obviously got the power. He's gotten some base hits the opposite way. So I like what Carrier's doing. I like it.
Dorian has batted a lot to be hitting 192.
Is that what he's hitting? 192?
Yikes. Yep.
Eesh. Yeah, that's tough. That is tough.
He's definitely had the opportunities.
We'll see what happens. I think, look.
I guess a couple other, Gabby Gutierrez got in there as a pinch hitter. I think that's pretty much all he'll be used for this year is situational pinch hits.
Yep. And he has been in some big game situations before and gotten some big hits. Obviously last year more than anything, but he's a guy that I think down the line, in the rest. This is the second half of the season. I think you're gonna see Gino lean more on some of his guys that he's gone to war with before, and Gabby, Renzo, even I think Jacoby is gonna get more time. I think he is gonna get a shot. I think he's gonna have to lean on those guys a little bit more, and he'll give Carlos Perez a break here and there with Jack.
He should be doing that against Bethune.
I don't understand why JD Jones isn't playing. I will continue to say it. I don't understand why they haven't given him more of a shot. The kid's hitting 400. I understand it's nothing exciting because he's only got 5 at bats, but I mean,
you mentioned Jason Torres a little bit too. I don't understand why, and I'll throw my boy Ariel in there. As pinch hitters, at least, get them some at bats. Why? I don't know.
I mean, against Bethune-Cookman, I might even start some of those guys, right?
Give the maybe Ariel. I think we might actually see Ariel start just to because you got to give Dom a break at some point too.
Absolutely.
And Yo-Yo, they can't play every game. And again, first of all, like you said earlier, we should be able to put up a big number against Bethune-Cookman, but also honestly, we got to set up.
This is not a knock, by the way, on Bethune-Cookman because they do have some good baseball players over there. I mean, they get their fair share of players up there. I know there's a big. I think it was last year that I saw or the year before. Big Puerto Rican contingency that plays at some of these schools of these Group of 5 or FCS schools. And have spoken to some of the guys that go to play over there. It's not going to be a terrible team, but there's a team that you should be able to put up 10, 15 runs on without a problem. And even with guys like Jason Torres,
and also, frankly, if you empty the bench and lose, you empty the bench and lose. We got to set up for the weekend. It's much more important to win the weekend series. All right, real quick before we wrap, just a quick look at what's left on what we've done so far in the schedule. So we've lost 3 series. They're all at Wake Forest. Florida and Virginia are all national seeds right now. Those are our 3 series losses. We've been 18-3 at home. So it's been, and that's why the series win last week was so big because it was our first road series win.
Yep.
But given the competition, not surprising.
It is Peruvian Heritage Night at Alex Rodriguez Park. All right, on Tuesday. So make sure you guys bring your ceviche and your.
See, I'm more of a pollo saltado person myself, but
lomo saltado, bring all that stuff. Make sure. But
Seriously.
Shout out to my Peruvians, man. I
Seriously,
love
what's going on there? Why did they do it on the? Why did they do it on a weekend series? It feels like they put Peru in the.
Well, Bark in the Park. Bark in the Park is Friday night.
Bark in the Park.
I'll be there this weekend.
All right,
I'll be there
cool.
this weekend.
And then strike out ALS, and then see they could have done Sunday as anyway.
So.
Anyway, but we got Georgia Tech at home just to wrap up here.
Yes.
At Louisville, they're another top 15, top 10 team
top
on the road.
10, they got shellacked against.
Yeah, they're going to be a top 15 team at least when you head in there.
Who swept them this weekend? Was it Wake Forest?
I think it was. Yeah, Wake Forest.
Wake Forest is unbelievable. Jeez Louise. But anyways, yep, at Louisville. Top 10 program right now.
Yeah, it's another top 10 road series. And then
Mexican Heritage Night against Presbyterian. Big time. Big. Watch out for that. That one's
Wait, what do we this is our weekend. That's why we playing Presbyterian does that.
Okay, so here's another thing before we go. This is a weekend where we should be able to first of all sweep the weekend. And second of all, give some of these guys a shot to play a little bit more.
Yep, and also if you're ever wondering when Miami has finals, find this week on the schedule. When all of a sudden the middle of ACC play, you're like, what are we playing that week? Yeah. That is finals week. And then we finish with at Pitt. And
wait a second, go up. We're hitting all the nationalities, baby. Dominican Heritage against FIC. That's a little more like it there, right? Dominican Heritage.
See, they did Cuban Heritage on a weekend series because we were there when they did the Cuban Heritage.
I don't know, man. I'd love to play FIU on a weekend series, but whatever. I think that'll be fun. Anyways,
I wonder if we could do that throwaway series once against them. And then Duke to close it out, and that's ACC tournament. So
fan appreciation, senior night. Okay. Whatever.
So really the only non-brutal road series the entire year is at Pitt. Everything else is top 15.
And Pitt is still a tough team.
They're not bad or anything, but it's just tough. But I mean, I think the 3 series we lost pretty much every
at Louisville. What was the NCAA thinking, man? Unbelievable.
I think the only we won at North Carolina, which is a really good series win. I don't know that anyone's winning a weekend series against UF, Wake Forest, or Virginia at their place. That's messed up. that we got all 3 of them. But yeah, at Pitt's the easiest.
That I think that the deciding factor for what happens with the Canes is going to be that weekend against Louisville. As far as if we just outright win all these games, we end up taking 2 or 3 from Louisville or something like that. I think the potential is there to still have. The national season is going to be tough. It's going to be tough at this point, but our strength of schedule helps us. So if we can pull that off, then I think there's still an outside shot at that. But I think hosting is in the bag at that point.
Yeah, hosting is definitely a strong possibility. I think the reason the National C is tough is, after you got swept by UVA, got swept by Wake Forest, and lost 2 or 3 to Florida, those are teams that you'll be, in discussions with to take a national seed.
Right.
I don't think they're going to give 3 to the ACC, so it's kind of like who's going to be the odd man out. Probably the team that went 0-6. Against Wake Forest and Virginia if they're trying to pick 2 out of the 3 ACC teams. So, I think one of them, frankly, even though it's kind of counterintuitive because it hurts our strength of schedule and our numbers, but Virginia collapsing or something would probably help us because
they did lose the series to Pitt.
Yeah, they lost the series to Pitt. But there's a whole, they allegedly don't look at conferences and how many teams they're putting where. That's BS.
Yeah,
they're not going to give the ACC 3 national seeds, so Virginia kind of fallen off and. If we start, like you said, if we win that, we have to win every series, obviously, the rest of the way if we're going to even be in that conversation. If we do that, the numbers are definitely going to be there. Our RPI is already there, and our strength of schedule is already there. So they're not going to go get much worse. We're winning series on the RPI front at least. So
I agree.
So there's an opportunity to at least have the numbers to argue for it, but I think regional hosting is much more likely than
for sure. All right, fellas.
Some good Sunday night baseball talk. Fresh, I saw you.
You're the
wrong show, dude. Wrong show. Tomorrow, 8:30. It's on the bottom.
You'll see it. We'll see you guys.
We'll address that. Yeah.
We'll see you guys next month.
And we'll have some hoop stuff during the week too. Women picked up a couple of Porto players.
Yeah,
we're talking about too.
And Miami got some commits, some football commits.
Yeah,
and
football commits on the show.
We've got
the spring game.
Yeah, the spring. Obviously, we'll break down the spring game tomorrow. But we also got a pretty big announcement for the following week's show too. That you guys
coming together. Yeah.
Stay tuned for that. So we'll see you guys tomorrow night at 8:30, same channel. See you guys then.
Yeah, this is what happens when I'm not ready. I'll just break the wall here. I wasn't ready queued up with the outro music, but now here we go. All right, see you guys tomorrow.
The 6 Rig Kane Show. Yeah. The 6 Rig Kane Show. Yeah. The 6 Rings Kane Show. You know.